Order. The question is that the committee do now adjourn. The honourable member for Port Melbourne.
Thank you
Melbourne
very much.
Ports.
Thank you very much, Acting Speaker. I want to praise the Secretary-General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, for speaking up on behalf of the brutalised people of Darfur in Western Sudan. Over the last 3 to 4 years, the worst genocide since Rwanda has occurred in that benighted country, with the active cooperation of the murderous regime in Khartoum. Since 2003, more than 200,000 people have been murdered in Darfur, along with mass rape and pillage by the Janjaweed militia. These Janjaweed militia brigands, apart from having air support of the Sudanese Air Force and backing of the Sudanese Army, are judged by all impartial agencies such as Human Rights Watch and Freedom House to be backed by the Sudanese dictator Omar al-Bashir. His name, Deputy Speaker, will eventually live in infamy like Pol Pot's, Mugabe and Milosevic. The UN Secretary-General's anger was sparked by a vote, Deputy Speaker, a shameful vote in the UN Human Rights Commission, 22 to 20, to turn down a resolution from the European Union, Canada and others telling the Sudanese government to prosecute those responsible for killing, raping and injuring civilians in Darfur. Can you imagine that, Mr Acting Speaker, that the UN Human Rights Commission turns down a resolution calling for the prosecution of those responsible for mass rape, mass killing and pillage in Darfur? What kind of a situation have we got to when things like that? To its great discredit, the Organisation of Islamic Countries, together with the Arab League, backed by various authoritarians such as Castro, Chavez, Putin and Hu Jintao, all got together, the great people of this world, to vote down this resolution. It's particularly ironic, Acting Speaker, because the people of Darfur are Muslims, black Muslims, African Muslims, and they're being persecuted by an allegedly Muslim government in Khartoum. The fact that this follows another shameful decision of the UN Security Council not to classify the situation in Darfur as genocide, because China has a veto and oil rights in Darfur that mean that it wants to exploit its relationship with the Sudanese government, and therefore that government can continue to have its militia murder, pillage, rape in Darfur. It's the most serious situation in the world, and the Secretary-General has really gone out on a limb over this. He said to the UN's Human Rights Commission in the statement read out by Louise Arbour that he urged the Human Rights Commission, which was established, the Human Rights Council, which was established after the widely discredited Human Rights Commission was abolished, to take care to handle this issue in an impartial way and not to allow it to monopolise the attention at the expense of others. There are surely other situations besides the one in the Middle East which would merit scrutiny by a special session of the UN Human Rights Commission. I would suggest Darfur as a glaring case in point. And he was talking about the fact that there had been 6 resolutions on the Israeli situation in the Human Rights Commission, and not one condemning the murder of 200,000 people, the mass rape and pillage in Darfur. This is absolutely shameful, Acting Speaker, that the UN Human Rights Commission would allow this to continue. It follows the decision of the UN, at least in some way, following the intervention of that very brave other UN official, Jan Egeland, shamefully treated by the dictator in Khartoum to achieve some human rights on behalf of the people of Darfur. The UN was going to deploy a joint force along with the African Union in Darfur to try and protect some of the people in that country, but of course the Sudanese government has been backtracking on that. My comments, Deputy Speaker, follow a meeting I had with the Darfur Australia Network and their very impressive public spokesman, Abdul Hadi Matar, an inspiring refugee from the Masalat tribe in Western Darfur. And I appeal to the Australian Government on behalf of the Darfurian refugees that they should get our embassy in Cairo to put more pressure on the UN Human Rights Commission to process the applications of refugees from Darfur who are in an urgent situation, a situation where there is still murder, rape and pillage taking place as we speak in Sudan, and they're all being held up by the UNHCR in Cairo. Australian government needs to act directly with those refugees.